Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jai Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Namah Om Vishnu Padaye Krishna Prishtaye Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present here listening to me. And first of all, thank you for watching this video. So today we are going to read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam's first canto, first chapter, questions by sages, text number 3. So here is the text. So sorry. Yes, here. Yeah, so this is the text. You can read with me. Niggam kalpatarorgalitam phalam shukmukhasamritadravasanyutam pivat bhagavatam rasamalayam muharaho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. So the synonyms are Nigam, the Vedic literatures, Kalpataruhu, the desired tree, Galitam, fully matured, Phalam, fruit, Sukha, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, the original speaker of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Mukhat, from the lips of Amrit, nectar, love, semi-solid and soft and therefore easily swallowable. Samyutam, perfect in all respects. Pibat, do relish it. Bhagavatam, the book dealing in the signs of the eternal relation with the Lord. Rasam, juice, that which is relishable. Alayam, until liberation or even in a liberated condition. Moha, always. Aho, oh, Rasik, those who are full in the knowledge of mellows. Bhuvi, on the earth. Bhavuka, expert and thoughtful. The translation is, O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. And the purport is, in the two previous shlokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shlok, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Veds are compared to the desert tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Veds contain regulative principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all this are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulative knowledge involves the gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir, void of all spiritual tastes or rus. Every living entity, beginning from Brahma, the firstborn living beginning, and be within the material world down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perceptions. These sensual pleasures are technically called ras. Such ras are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of ras are enumerated. Rodras, Adbhut ras. Rodra means anger, Adbhut means wonder, Shringar ras, conjugal love, Hasya ras, comedy, Veer ras, chivalry, Daya, mercy, Dasya ras, servitorship, Sakya ras, fraternity, Bhayanak ras, horror, Vivats ras, shock, Shant ras, neutrality, Vatsalya ras, parenthood. The sum total of all these ras is called affection of or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these five are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, and thus is called conjugal love. Thus is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between two persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. Such thus are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or thus between a man and an animal or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The thus are exchanged between members of the same species. Right. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and a spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or ras is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Suti mantras, Vedic hymns as the fountainhead of all ras. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional ras with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of ras to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary ras is experienced in full. In the material existence, the ras is experienced in the perverted form, which is temporary, and thus the ras of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Rodra, anger, and so on. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different ras which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasa, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole without knowing of the different ras. In this shlok, it is definitely stated that spiritual ras, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire, but one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Sri Vyasdev. The latter in turn uh, delivered the message to his son Srila Sukadev Goswami, and Srila Sukadev Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Sukadev Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified, neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Sukadev Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo any evolutionary process for spiritual realization. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person situated in the transcendental position above the three material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. Of necessity he is of necessity not impersonal, because uh, it is only possible to carry on transcendentals with a person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Sukadev Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole. In Sanskrit, the palate is also known as suk. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Sukadev Goswami, who is compared to the parrot, not for the ability, not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Sukadev Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishnalok. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental ras, knowing as the known as the ras dance, without following in the footsteps of Sukhdev Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by states of transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering personalities like Sukdev Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavat school suggests that in the future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Srila Sukadev Goswami, a professor who makes a business out of reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Sukadev Goswami. Such a man's business is not only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the ras dance, which is misunderstood by the foolish class of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it by their own stupid interpretations. They have no desire to follow in the footsteps of Srila Sukhdev Goswami. One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of the Rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Sukhdev Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning and not whimsically to satisfy the mundaner who has very limited knowledge in transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Sukadev Goswami or his bona fide representative. So here is the text for. We will read this text next time. So thank you for listening me and forgive me if I have done any mistake in pronunciation or any type of mistakes I have done. So please forgive me. Hare Krishna.